2016, you mentioned Wayne Rooney. It was his goal in 2016 when Manchester United were under Louis van Gaal that earned them their last league win here at Anfield. In terms of their performance and in terms of Harry Maguire's performance in particular, Roy, I know that you weren't necessarily convinced that he was the right player to start this game, but did he prove Amorim right?
Yeah, of course, but the manager brought him in, you mentioned before the game, because of his experience and the fact he's a goal threat, and not just obviously his winner today. Defensively, some of the headers he put in was absolutely fantastic, and we know he's capable of doing that. That's the foundation of his career. But my worry always is that getting isolated and getting caught 1v1s in terms of his pace. But he obviously got away with that today because he used the experience and he done well and he dug deep, and the win will give the players that belief about winning football matches. The key now for this group of players is you got to keep winning. And also the good thing is for some of the new players who've come to the club, the attacking players, they haven't got the negativity of last season where it was really bad stats. They're coming to United and going, yeah, this is good, this vibe is good. They're winning a few matches now. They've got the back-to-back. They've won at Liverpool. Obviously, we know that it's not easy for Man United players. So we've got to take that belief now, as Harry just said, into the game next week. We'll go against Brighton. That's the key now. Enjoy a little bit of success tonight. No doubt the fans will have a few drinks, but make sure you've got a free week. No real distractions for United over the next few months now. Obviously, European football, etc. So stay focused, stay in the zone. But they do look that they've got goals in this team. That was a big problem last year. For all their problems, goalkeeper, defensively, they weren't a goal threat. But today, even though they've scored 2, they still look as if going, yeah, there's goals in this group of players. And some of the attacking players today look like, again, there's a bit of a swagger about them. And I like that. And it wasn't a cockiness. It was like, yeah, confidence, give me the ball, I'll deal with it. I'm playing at Anfield. Like Canton and all these players used to go, yeah, give me the ball, I can deal with it. And they dealt with it. And they've now got a build in it. But certainly good vibes. We see clips in the dressing rooms there. And success is good. It's great to be successful, even if it's a big game at Liverpool. But now carry it on. I'll repeat that to the players. You've got to keep going now and build and have a really good season. There's been a lot of positive the last week. There's been criticism. We spoke about the owner saying, oh, the manager's here for the next 2 or 3 years. And we say, well, results will dictate that. But if we can get performance and results like that today, then he will be here for 3 years.
I was just thinking that, and it's quite unprecedented what he came out and said, and he almost got ridiculed for it to a certain extent. But maybe it changed that whole dressing room. The players that maybe aren't quite keen on Ruben Amorim, maybe his backroom staff, maybe he's going to be surplus, and they've shut everybody up. He's here, so let's get on with it now. And you can see maybe that creates a bit of togetherness. And like Roy says, they've signed a couple of gems. Sesko, the jury is still out a little bit, but in Cunha and Mbermo, they've got players that look like they deserve to be in a Man United shirt. And there's been a few that don't look like, not only do they not want to be it in a Man United shirt, they don't like can handle the pressure that comes with it. Cunha handles the ball, he wants it in tight situations, he looks a class act. And Mbermo's a massive goal threat. So they do look, to a certain extent, a lot better team. Now, they still need a few pieces in that jigsaw puzzle, but there were so many positives today. We talk about tactics. Roy said it just after the game. Goes out the window in these games. There's been so many times when you maybe don't play that well, but you dig in and you get a result, maybe good challenges, a little bit of luck along the way, and they rode their luck. But they still had the big moments. And no matter what gets said about Bruno Fernandes, and he does get a lot of stick, that ball for the winning goal is world class.
Desperately to end the losing run today, it hasn't quite happened. Why do you think not?
I think because obviously we conceded a very sloppy second goal. We worked so hard to get back into the game. We created opportunities to score the winner. But if you concede the second goal like that, obviously that's a disappointing part. And yeah, I think overall, if you look at the game, we were far too rushed. I think we were making wrong decisions at time, and that was also the moments where we were open if we lost the ball. And yeah, disappointed day.
Far too rushed because of the games you've lost, and almost trying too hard, maybe, do you think?
No, I think United was obviously very patient. They didn't press us that high. They didn't, they let us on the ball, and I think we made rash decisions at time where obviously we had to stay maybe a little bit calm, but we still obviously created many opportunities to score and win the game. But the reality is that we lost, and it's an interesting time now that we have to stick together, and not only us as players, but together with our fans and everyone that wants us to win.
Can you just give us your perspective on the first goal? Because obviously yourself, Alexis and Obama have all sort of gone in. Perhaps the game should have been stopped for a head injury. Then Burma makes the run sort of in behind you. It looks like you passed him on, I think, to Konate. But just give us your view of that whole moment.
Yeah, well, I think the ball goes long. The first header get won by a United player. The second header get won by me. In that moment, obviously, I hit Maka's elbow. And he goes down, I go down, and that creates obviously the space on my position and behind. And I thought from the angle that it was pretty difficult to score, but he managed to score. And obviously it's still early on in the game, so there's plenty of football to be played. So it was good for us to just stay calm, but I think we didn't manage that in the best way. And that's obviously disappointing for me.
You said in one of your earlier answers, this is an interesting moment now. What's needed from the group to sort of get yourselves back on track?
Well, first and foremost, stay humble, stay working, and try and keep your confidence as high as possible. Because obviously, when you lose, your confidence could drop a little bit. But it's about staying very calm. And we've been coming from a season when everything was, it was unbelievable, and everyone was praising everyone and positive, and yeah, obviously we became the champions. So and everyone was obviously cheering for us as well. And when things get tough, it's important that we keep that same mentality of being there for each other. It's still a long season, obviously it's easy to get dragged into a negative spiral, but it's down to us to keep working, stay humble, and improve ASAP. When you get the opportunity to obviously show your quality and win games, but we also have to, and I mentioned it before already, you have to put things in perspective. We're in October now, so many twists and turns can happen, but the reality is that we come over four defeats in a row now, and we want to turn it around ASAP.
Thank you, Virgil.
You're welcome.
And said we tried to explain why they looked so positive in Liverpool's favour. And yet they came away on the wrong end of that scoreline, and it felt, watching the game, as though they didn't deserve to win necessarily the match. One of the things that's happened is that they've conceded 17 goals in their first 12 games in all competitions this season, compared to 5 in their opening 12 games in all competitions last season. Why do you think that's happening? Why are they defensively more frail? Well,
11, if you go to even talk about the Premier League, 11 this season in the Premier League, they only conceded 3 after 8 games last season. So it feels that there's a lot's going on. It's almost too easy to say there's maybe one thing. You can point to Konate's form in the season. I thought he was excellent today. You're bringing in a new left-back. Is that maybe making a bit of a disruption to Virgil van Dijk? And is he trying to, at times, cover Carragher, who's finding it quite difficult at the moment? Right back, you've obviously lost. We all talk about how good Trent was going forward, but defensively, we always probably didn't really make that much difference. At times, he could be a liability, but maybe showing he actually wasn't that bad in defence. So there's lots of different factors that you could look into this Liverpool performance, and certainly from defensively. Now, Virgil's analysis of that goal is an interesting one, because I feel that he talks about when it goes up. Yes, the referee could stop the game. Absolutely, he could, and I don't think anybody would have complained. But does he see it? We don't know. So I prefer not to even say to even over-elaborate on that one. But what I feel that you have to look at is the source of the problem. So Virgil goes for that one, wins it, obviously. Then he goes for the next ball, and then he knocks on Burmo to the floor, and obviously his player McAllister go down. Now Virgil van Dijk has got maybe a 2-yard start on Burmo, but he doesn't sprint back. If he sprints back, he stops that. He points at his mate Konate to come and help him out. Just watch Virgil van Dijk here as he goes in for this second challenge. I feel if Virgil goes and sprints back as quickly as he can, there's absolutely no doubt in a flat race he wins that. Brilliant by Diallo, absolutely, and really good by Burmo. Great finish. But Virgil can do much better from a defensive point of view. From an attacking point of view, Roy obviously will show it again. You can see from Man United's point of view.
Brilliant, yeah. Good start, good run, great ball. And again, yeah, just sloppy from Liverpool. I think the keeper's got to do better as well. And a dream start for United, of course. But Liverpool did look edgy, and they do look like they're forcing things. They do look like it's balanced, whatever, the chemistry's not quite there. And
Van Dijk said rushed was the word.
Yeah, possibly so. But when you're a centre-half and you're a big player, and last year was on about who's going to stay, and he signs the big contract, and then you're giving up loads of goals, then I'd be looking at him. I'd be looking, what are you doing? Particularly as a big leader of the team. And we're looking at moments, and I think a couple of years ago he spoke about Man United coming here and parking the bus and being critical of United. Well, they scored 2 today, they scored 2 last year, and you're the centre-half of this team. You know, always start with the man in the mirror. Always start with, because he's a big leader. We talked about United's Maguire turning up today, and always just today, and Bruno and stuff. But Van Dijk, if you're the centre-half and your team are all of a sudden giving up loads of goals, you've got new people coming to your club, you've got to have a good look at yourself and going, am I really helping these lads? Am I getting a grip of people? And little incidents we saw with the goal there, yeah, we'll give United plaudits, but I do look at them going, are you really sprinting back? And what happens when you become champions? The biggest challenge is the next year, because people are looking at you going, you're the champions, we're going after you. Even United were coming today, and United attacking players certainly had a bit of a swagger about them, whereas Liverpool, they struggle to deal with that. And the stats, we're talking about stats. I think a really important stat in football is the scoreline, and that's it. And Liverpool, the manager said last year, Liverpool won loads of games by the odd goal. They're now on the wrong side of it. And again, they're losing lots of late goals. So whatever happened with the substitutions, the mentality, shall we say, even when Liverpool got it back to 1-1 today, you still think United had a goal. It's not as if you're going, oh, listen, this is the second goal's coming. And Liverpool, just before the goal, almost kind of gifted them, giving the ball away cheaply. And there are little moments that you got to have to say to, where Van Dijk's got to say to the players, lads, just calm down. Just, again, and I think sometimes it's good to be forcing things and panicking, but not all the time. I felt it was like that from even in the first half. It's not as if we done it United. It'd be a mad last 10 or 15 minutes, but not a mad last hour.
Well, you talked about the substitutions, and when Arne made that triple substitution, that's when it started to feel particularly chaotic, frantic, any of the words that you want to use. And in fairness, it earned Liverpool a goal.
Yeah, there's a bit of genius madness. Virgil does brilliantly well to win the challenge there on Mbermo, and then they keep the ball alive, and the pressure was certainly mounting. And you can feel that something was going to happen. They get that little bit of luck there. They stay calm. Wirtz keeps it alive. Smashes it across the face of goal. And then there was always one player I felt today that could get that goal. I didn't feel like it was going to be Salah. I felt it was going to be Gakpo. He had so many chances. He enjoys this fixture.
He hit the post 3 times in the game.
3 times, Kelly, and he was always looking to score. And obviously a little bit wasteful with a header that was a great opportunity for him. And then I could only see one winner. Although Liverpool's formation was crazy, you know, you end up with, you know, Wirtz and Jones as your 2 defensive midfield players. I still felt they would be the team in the ascendancy and win it. And that's what Virgil spoke about, that little bit of calmness. And I go back to the throw-in. When they go and give the ball, when Szoboszlai throws it back to his keeper, he just needs to stay calm. You've got so much time still. Little mistakes like that would just transmit into the fans, to the players. It doesn't need it. And that's what they did so well last year. We spoke about how good Liverpool were, but we also spoke about how calm they were. They never really got under pressure. But you felt today they were too rushed.
But it goes to show there was a nervousness in Liverpool, and that's on the back of 3 defeats. For all how brilliant Liverpool have been over the last year, they're human beings. And when you lose 3 games, can I tell you what? Self-doubt will kick in. You start, really, are we going to lose again? And they've lost that little bit of belief. And you felt it in the stadium. Even when we got here today before the game, you're still thinking Liverpool will get the job done. But when you're a goal down after a minute or two, and you think you're nervous before the game, after a minute or two, you're going, oh my goodness, it's a long way back. And they didn't quite do enough. For all their efforts and the chances, you felt United had a chance of getting a big result today.
But even in terms of Manchester United's winner, in the build-up to it, there was evidence of what Van Dijk was talking about, that being rushed.
There's Szoboszlai here, look, he's throwing it back to his keeper, and it's just not on. And Mbermo goes and presses him, and then you can see there's a little bit of panic. The keeper's obviously, look, he's throwing his arms up in the air. Then they don't win the second ball. Harry Maguire wins that. Right, now you're on the back foot. They work it really well. Sesko's good feet. Cunha, who's been excellent, and certainly in the second half, keeps the ball alive. They get a corner. That's where the goal comes from. It's just a case of staying calm.
And that's where you use your experience, Kelly. That's where you've got to use your experience. Yeah, and it's madness with the throwing. Just go down the line.
Yeah.
But then a bit of brilliance from Bruno there.
I mean, this won't go down as a goal necessarily straight from the corner, because obviously it gets played out and ends up back with Bruno Fernandes. But are you concerned about Liverpool's defensive record from set pieces, Jamie? Given how big set pieces are, particularly this season, we've seen a big increase in how effective sides can be from Arsenal benefiting hugely.
Well, you looked at the substitution. Like when you take off Gravenberch and then you bring on Jones and Wirtz, you lose a big header of the ball. Roy and I were saying during the game, look at the size of United. All of a sudden, they look a really big side from every single set piece that comes in. They've got big players. They bring on Sesko, 6'5", 6'6", whatever he is. So there was a few mismatches there. So yeah, set pieces are a big, but. you know, there's sometimes you've just got to take leadership. You know, Canate, can he deal with it? Virgil van Dijk. And the chaos I felt towards the end of the game. Jamie Carragher mentioned it a few weeks ago, and I think it was before the Chelsea game. There's a bit of basketball all the time with Liverpool. It just never feels like there's that control.
But even when the ball goes out to Bruno, if you look at the Liverpool players' body language, if we can go back to it, a lot of the Liverpool players, 5 or 6 of them, are running to what... As a player, you must know your players. You look up. I see the ball. If you run here and when it goes back out to Bruno, just run here. Run about body language. So this ball's going back out to Bruno. Look what Liverpool players are running. There's 2 or 3 running out. You're going, it's gone out to Bruno. Know your players. You know, there's a good chance he's going to push it back into a good area. Yeah. So still, your priority at this one time is protect your goals. Protect your goals. I know they're playing off the cuff stuff and it's a bit mad, but there's 4 or 5 of them. Body language. Watch when it goes out here. They're running out. What are you running out? Tell you.
Well, Gakpo ends up. He's at the back post. He ends up as the furthest player there.
There's a saying. There's a saying. A lot of these players are on the outside looking back in. If you're defending and you're defending for your lives and you've got that hunger, you've got to be inside and facing onto the game. You can't be stood here looking at the goal somebody's scoring against you. You've got to be goal side. There might be 1 or 2 of you, maybe someone on the edge of the box, but too many of them are. When it's going back to Bruno, going, what can we do? I go, no, don't worry about getting there. Bruno's going to put it back into a good area. That's what Bruno Fernandes does. He's a brilliant player.
The rest made it brilliant, yeah.
This sloppiness, decision-making, which is costing Liverpool. The goal at Chelsea, Robertson, people not being aware, as if they're not aware of people around them in the box. You go, where do you think these players are going to be? Where do you think Harry Maguire is going to be hanging around? He nearly scored the winner last year. Don't worry, he's going to try and sniff out a chance. So it's almost like naive, really naive defending from the Liverpool as a team, not from 1 or 2 players as a team. And that's where your senior players have to say, lads, when the ball's here, let's just sit in, let's defend our box. Then we can counter-attack. But they're always trying to counter-attack when they haven't got the ball.
The questions for you in these interviews are often quite dramatic. If you lose, it's a disaster. If you win, it's a transformational moment. Nonetheless, was that perhaps the biggest win of your time as Manchester United manager?
Yeah, I think so. It doesn't mean a lot. It means today, but tomorrow is not going to mean a lot. It's 3 points, but it's a good victory. But I will do the same thing that I did in the last games, is try to see the game, try to, in key points we had some luck. But we fought for every ball. We lost our composure a little bit in the second half. But the most important thing, the spirit was there, and that is the beginning of everything. And sometimes you play more with the ball, and other days you play without the ball. But if you have the spirit, you can win any game.
So I was going to ask you, what did you like most about it? But would it be the togetherness, the fight, the spirit?
The spirit, and the belief that, of course, we need some moments like to score first. Saves from our goalkeeper, one shot on the post to start believing that we can win any game. But then you can feel it. Any transition, some moments with the ball, the team starts believing that is possible. It was a good day, but now I'm concerned about Brighton.
Not already, Ruben.
Yeah, because I had 1 year of experience, so I will enjoy it. I'm not down. I have to enjoy these moments, but let's focus on Brighton.
You made a couple of decisions at the start of the game that I'm sure, you know, if you'd have been stood here after a defeat, you'd have been criticised for. You brought Maguire in, and you went with that mobile front three. Just tell us a bit more about both those decisions, because clearly they worked.
It's a lack of a manager. So I was expecting that. So it's nothing new. So I get used to that. We just saw the game. We know that how important set pieces are, how important the guys that have more experience. Imagine that something happened in the beginning of the game against us. Harry Maguire has experience to help the other guys, and then Konate and Van Dijk. They like the confrontation. They like to fight. One of them goes to the ball, the other one make a second line. But you can sense that more or less all the transitions was Cunha. Cunha was so far from the centre backs that help us to take the ball.
Did you as well maybe try and play on their bad run and almost make them impatient a little bit when they were in possession?
Every time you play in this kind of environment, if you block well, especially in the beginning, you can feel the fans turning. We feel that in our stadium. All the big teams suffer from that. We try to do that. I think we have to have, of course, more possession to rest our players. They struggle in the end because they are used to have the ball. When they spend so much time without the ball, they struggle a little bit. So, but again, good win. Let's focus on the next one.
I think I asked you beforehand, would a win kind of change the story of this season, maybe even change the story of your time in charge so far, because it's the back-to-back wins. It's a win at Anfield for the first time in a long time. It's an away win for the first time in a while. Do you think this is the moment that switches the narrative?
I think will give us more confidence to the week. Will give a lot of pleasure to our fans that they deserve it. After Greensby, after Brentford, to have a win like this is really important. But again, that is in our hands. And this is the past. Let's focus on the future. It will change if we do the same thing, playing a little bit better, but with the same spirit. Things will change in time.
Thank you very much. Well done.
Thank you.
Look, he's preaching calm and sense at the moment, Ruben Amorim, and in the wake of what was a really big win for Manchester United. We saw the reaction from the players, and we certainly saw the reaction from the fans as well. It's a 4th Premier League away win under Amorim. This one, the one against Manchester City, Fulham and Leicester are the other 2 teams. So what can we read into it? Not just the result, Roy, but the performance of Manchester United.
Well, obviously, they had a little bit of luck today. They've scored 2 goals. Could have scored 1 or 2 more. They gave up a lot of chances, as lots of teams do when they play Liverpool. But he mentioned, again, the word belief. We look at Liverpool maybe losing it a little bit. Their belief that when they've lost 4, so for United to get back-to-back wins, the result here today. Again, if you go into the training ground this week, United will be a better place. And that's it. There'll be different energy, there'll be different vibes. They've got new players who've come to the club, particularly attacking players. And they haven't got all that baggage, I suppose, from last year when it was really negative and the results and lack of goals. So now they can bring some positivity. But again, Brighton next week, another tricky game for United. But what we're finding out about certain players at United, now we've seen today with the attacking players, what you want at United as well, or whatever about their technical skills, is lads who have big characters and big personalities. And we're seeing certainly signs of players who are playing for Man United going, yeah, these expectations, and obviously expected to win every week. I think they're embracing it. They don't look they're shying away from it. Still loads to fix. Let's not kid ourselves either at United all of a sudden some top team, far from it. But they've got signs like they're a goal threat. And obviously, last year particularly, when you're not scoring many goals, they were constantly under pressure at the back. But now it just eases the pressure a little bit. When you come to players like Liverpool, you go, listen, we've got 2 or 3 goals in our makeup. Even Sunderland at home, 2 goals. If you get 2 goals a game, then they've got a chance of winning some football matches.
Manchester United's recruitment has taken a bashing over the years, with Cunha and Burmo, Lomans potentially as well, Senna Lomans in goal.
Made some big saves, yeah, of course.
Yeah, have they turned that around? Should they get praise, given that we've criticised them in the past?
You have to do, because obviously we know the importance of recruitment in football, and we've been slagging United off for the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and who's buying these players? But all of a sudden you look at the attacking players, and what they helped. The big plus for the attacking players they brought in this summer, they paid big money for players who know the Premier League. So they're used to, whereas over the last year or 2, looking at United buying players a lot from abroad, quality, but they couldn't seem to deal with the speed and the physicality of the Premier League. But all of a sudden you've got 2 players who are going to get you up the pitch. They're a goal threat. They'll deal with the demands. Their bodies are robust enough. Today was a physical challenge, and they dealt with it. They weren't rolling around. So that's a big plus. And when you're in a team, you've got a couple of star players top of your pitch. You think they can get us out of jail. It gives everyone a big lift. So it's a relief to your defenders, your midfielders. Go, we've got some attacking players. We've all players with attacking players. Or even on a bad day, you go, hopefully they'll get us out of jail. And they kind of did that with United today, because United gave up a lot of chances. But if you feel every time the ball goes forward, someone's going to hold it up, somebody's going to go past somebody, or somebody's going to put the ball in the back of the net, that gives everyone a lift and a belief. And we saw clips of the United players in the dressing room there, and they're smiling, they're happy. What a great place to be. Success is good. Enjoy it, embrace it, but back it up next Saturday against Brighton, which would be not a tricky game for United.
What have you...
If you play United, that comes here with a low block, with playing a lot of long balls, then you know that is going to be difficult, because it's not easy to play through them, and you don't get the chance to win the ball back high up the pitch and then create your chance. But it makes it even harder if you, after 1 or 2 minutes, I think, 1-0 down. And if you would have told me before the game that we were able to play against the low block with the quality players United have, against a team that plays so many long balls, we would be able to create so many chances, I would have said I would take that immediately, and that normally doesn't lead to losing the game of football. But we did, because we missed a lot, and the few chances we've conceded led to 2 goals conceded, where again a set piece is partly the reason why we lose this game.
I could see from where I was sat that you weren't happy with some of the officiating for their first goal, for a penalty you might have had during the first half. Did you feel those 2 were big moments and didn't go the way they should have gone?
I think if you lose a game of football, especially after you've lost 4, maybe you can have the emotion in the game, but I should not talk about that at this moment of time. No excuses. We've had more than enough chances to score a goal where we then maybe didn't need that penalty if it was one, yes or no. I don't want to talk about that. We should just focus on ourselves. If we have so many chances, you need to score more. And if you are 1-1 and the game is completely there for you, and you then have to defend 1 set piece, defend it better than we did. And this is where we should focus on. And that there is emotion in the game about decisions, yeah, that's, I think, quite normal. Every manager has this. But I should not talk about this after the game.
Is that pattern a concern? Getting yourselves back into a game, getting level, and then losing it late on?
Nah, it happens us 3 times in a row. So yeah, we've made many offensive substitutions to turn the game around. And I think, I wouldn't say that worked, but in the end we've created a lot of chances throughout the whole game, but mainly after the substitutions were made. And yeah, then of course you don't have maybe the same structure in defending a set piece as you have when you start the game, because it's every time when someone gets off, there's a lot of work to be done, who does what. But sometimes it's then not about who does what, it's just about making sure you don't concede. But our mindset at that moment of time is maybe only on scoring, because we think we deserve to win the game, and we forget that in the I don't know if we forget, but it comes across like that we forget this 1 or 2 single moments where we have to defend.
Just tell us about some of the changes you made, because you were really kind of aggressive in terms of trying to affect the game from the touchline. What was your thinking, just trying to kind of overload that low block?
I think before that already we've created enough chances to score a goal. Cody Gakpo twice on the post in the first half. Alexander Isak 1-on-1 to the goalkeeper. And I think if I look it back, I maybe forget 1 or 2 chances. And in the second half, we started off quite well, in my opinion. But yeah, if you have so many good players on the bench, you can better use them, especially if they are offensive. And then you take the risk, because that's... People might say, yeah, you've conceded 1 or 2 extra chances apart from the goal as well. Correct, that's what we did. But that's also what we need to do. If you're 1-0 down, you have to take more risk than when you're 1-0 up. So if I take that into account, that we every time have to fight back and then see the amount of chances we concede, I cannot be too negative about that. But defending in the set piece, if you are 1-1, that happened to us at Palace, that happened to us today, that we have to do much better. But again, a lot of impact from the players that came on. But that's also because of the effort we put in the first half. So we have 60-65% ball possession. The other team has to run a lot. A lot of players had to go off from United because they were tired. But yeah, end result, lost 2-1.
Yeah, and it is 4 defeats in a row. How have you ended up as the league's champions in this downward spiral, and how difficult a moment is it for you and the team?
It is a difficult moment because you know how it works in football. If you lose a game of football, if you lose 2, 3 or 4, the main thing is that the players need to keep believing in each other, and what we are doing is good. So if you play a game like this, I think they will be in the dressing room saying, what an amount of chances we had. But you can play a next game maybe where you don't create as much, and this is always players, if you lose, players come off, thought they didn't have to be substituted, players who thought they had to play longer. These kind of things are quite normal in football. But what I see at this moment of time at Liverpool is that they're all very involved. If we start them, they do well. If they come in, they do well. If we get chances in the end, I see the players on the bench hoping that we score. Also the ones I took off, frustrated if then Maguire wasn't fractionally offside. So I see everything that is needed to win a game of football. But maybe it's a smart thing that we start doing this quite soon.
You took Mo Salah off needing a goal, and he obviously is in a difficult moment. Are we seeing a great player maybe moving into a different phase of his career? I mean, I know it's a difficult question for you to answer, or is it just form? Is it just him trying to blend with new signings? What's happening with him at the moment?
I think after games like this, it's quite normal, usual that people are very focused on individual players. So in the first 5 or 6 games, it was mainly about the signings we did. Now we have to talk about Mo Salah. I think we've had more than enough chances to score a goal, and Mo missed a big one. Some others missed a big one, big chances, and we are not used to this from Mo. But yes, we needed a goal. But yes, we also needed maybe a player that could create something in that end phase, and that's what Jeremy did. He came in, had a great action, we say, cross to Cody, and when we would have been 3-0 up, I think Cody would have scored that one. But I cannot guarantee this. But so, like I said, every player has tried everything, but it didn't work out for us.
Thank you, Arne.
You're welcome.
So that's how Arne Slot saw the game. Jamie Carragher obviously was commentating for us. Jamie, I know you missed the beginning of that, but just to sum up, Arne Slot saying that he would have been happy if he knew how many chances Liverpool would create in the match. And actually, Cody Gakpo had a higher XG than Manchester United as a team in that game, hit the post 3 times, but that they have to finish them better, but also that defensively, of the chances they did give up, they conceded a couple of goals, including one from a set piece, or from a corner that led to the goal. And then he said, we just can't afford to be doing that.
Yeah, I think it was a really good interview, that, because when you lose a game of this magnitude, people get emotional. You know, even pundits, you know, supporters. And it probably is a good time for the manager to be measured. 4 defeats in a row. He's explained the game really well. If Liverpool put the majority of the chances away, they'd probably win the game. But the way the Premier League is style-wise this season, for everybody, set pieces is a big part of the game. Everybody's taking long throws this season. You know, set pieces galore. We look at Arsenal, the success they've had as well. And Liverpool just can't seem to cope at the moment. So we keep talking about new signings and integrating them in terms of actually the football Liverpool are playing. But the new signings that Liverpool have brought in, has it affected them set-piece-wise as well? You know, the fullbacks are quite small. You know, there's no sort of great, you know, physical presence in there. Even if you play a Wirtz in midfield, and McAllister as well, you've got to think set-piece-wise as well. Is the team big enough? And maybe this is hurting Liverpool now, not just in terms of actually, you know, playing the football and getting players on the ball, but it looks like they're not coping at all well with set pieces. They concede last minute at Crystal Palace from a long throw as well. Another corner at Crystal Palace as well. So yeah, they're struggling, I think, with the style of the whole Premier League right now.
You mentioned the fact that it's a time for Arne Slot to be measured after 4 defeats in a row. But if you look at performances across the whole season, you were saying in the first game of the season against Bournemouth that there were worrying signs defensively for Liverpool from open play. Have they gone any way to fixing those? Do they still look as vulnerable in open play as you thought they were on that first day?
Oh, yeah, it hasn't changed. And I think a few weeks ago, I looked about Liverpool maybe going back to having Szoboszlai in the midfield and maybe Wirtz coming out the team because he's more of an offensive number 10 than Szoboszlai. But Szoboszlai's played in that position in the last 2 games, you know, away at Chelsea, here against Manchester United today. And Liverpool are still conceding goals and conceding big chances. You know, you think of the chance Fernandes had in that first half as well. Manchester United should be 2-0 up in that situation. So there's, as we said before the game, I don't think it's one glaring problem. There's lots of things. New signings, not up to speed. But some of Liverpool's great players last season are playing nowhere near the level that they are and, you know, just making sort of errors. And you talk about Konate. He was brilliant today. I thought Konate had a great game. But then Van Dijk's nowhere near himself. I mean, he has a really poor game as well. So it's just, it's not quite happening for Liverpool right now. And I think, I've just mentioned on the podcast, actually, I think of
Where's that available to download? All your usual podcast places.
Exactly. But I think when the champions or a team, if you think of last season, on such a long run undefeated from the Nottingham Forest game, I think maybe to the Fulham game later in the season, almost feel invincible. And then this season, as soon as someone beats them, this run goes on of 4 games. I remember Manchester City last season had that run where you couldn't believe this was Manchester City. You feel a little bit like that with Liverpool. And I go back to a game I played in here 25 years ago or something, where the invincible team with Arsenal, the following season, once they'd lost 1 game, everyone thought, oh, maybe you can beat them. And they actually went on a run of sort of losing 4 or 5 games. So it's just one of those things that the rut that they're in right now, and they just, as the manager said, you know, they've got to get out of it quick. But it's probably, we're not going to see the best of Liverpool, I would say, till the second half of the season.
But that's why I draw, Jim. That's why I think a draw today. I know we praising them for gambling and winning, getting late goals. But on the back of 3 defeats, you're home to United and it's 1-1. Don't shy away from taking a point as well. I think just to stop the rot. I know 3 games for Liverpool is a lot. But there's a bit of arrogance in that, which is nothing wrong with that. When you're champions, you think there's a bit of a swagger. But also smell the game and go, there's danger here. That's why there's not no taking a point either. It's not the end of the world.
One defeat by Manchester United. Jamie, just picking up on what Roy was saying about Liverpool coming back this season, he was saying earlier about, you know, coming back as champions and finding it harder. They've always been title challengers. They've always had teams coming in here, maybe sitting back against them. But to Jamie's point, do you think that they can scent blood a bit more this season? They feel that it's possible to get something?
Yeah, and I think a lot of clubs, a lot of teams will look at what Manchester United did today. They never once played out from the back from a goal kick. You see much lesser teams that aren't comfortable on the ball trying to do that, inviting pressure, losing a goal. I think they had a really good game plan. I think, and they showed that against Liverpool today. In terms of, you know, trying to maybe, you know, a point isn't the worst result in the world. It wouldn't have been. If you look at what Arsenal did when they got that point against Manchester City, we were all talking about it after that, how they were celebrating, how happy they were. But then they got on a great run after that. They got a Newcastle win, and we all go, yeah, actually, at the time it didn't feel like a good point, but how good does it feel now? So Liverpool have just got to find some rhythm again. And everyone's going to be asking questions about his decisions, the players that are coming. That's inevitable. The next week or so, people are talking about, you know, how's he going to fit Virgil in the team? How's he going to fit Isak, Ekitike into the team? What does he do about the right-back situation? How's the left-back looking? There's going to be lots of question marks. But you just got to be a little bit patient. He's very measured, the manager. He doesn't get too involved, doesn't get too high when they do well, doesn't get too low when they don't. And I think it might need a bit of that for now, because it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. It's going to be a difficult time because they've got some tough games. We're writing it down earlier on. They've got Brentford away, Villa at home, and then the Manchester City away. So they're games that you're looking at thinking they're not going to be easy. They're going to be challenged next week.
Champions League games, Carabao Cup game against Crystal Palace, and amongst all of that.
Well, we talk about set pieces. Jamie's mentioned it, how difficult they are now, and how big. You've got the ultimate test next week at Brentford away. So they're the challenges that they've got to have. So they've got to make sure they deal with them.
And with all the players they brought in, I'm just trying to imagine how the manager and the staff at the training ground are looking at. They have a lot of options, really, and sometimes that can be a problem. Also, when you've got brilliant options on the bench, you see him chopping and changing, and he is offensive, and I give him a thumbs up for gambling. But again, there's certain games, and you have it, the old sayings in football, if you can't win it, don't lose it. They've got to get back to that mindset of not giving up daft goals like they have done. That's the point he made at the end.
When you sort of won the title, you're obviously lucky to win it loads of times. Did you then, the second, when you have to do it again, is it like you've got? Is it hard to get yourself going?
Yeah, there's obviously a different challenge, and obviously people look at you, but then you've obviously got a bit of a confidence about you that we've done it, and we can hopefully do it again. And you've got that kind of that winning culture and that vibe going on. And again, people always thought about the team I was involved in. Going, you always felt you'd go to the very end. And you always felt if anyone was going to win it, it was United, and they'd be gambling. But there was plenty of games where we'd be trying to win again, but also we'd be looking going, everyone thinks we're going to go for it here, but we'll take a draw. There's certain games, like I think you always have to smell it in the air. I think Liverpool should have smelled that today. And I know it's hard when you're at home and the fans are pushing you, it's on the television, everyone's building the game up. But when it's 1-1 and you've lost 3 in a row, there's nothing wrong with just bringing it back to basics. Go, listen, well, lads, we'd love to win it. We've got enough attacking players on the pitch. But defensively, you've got experienced 2 centre-halves going, yeah, listen, we've got 1 or 2 players who can try and win it, but make sure we don't lose it.
Do you think that's a hangover, though, from those seasons where City were pushing for 100 points, where Liverpool ran them close on 90-odd points in more than one season?
Well, yeah, they were obviously had good rhythm last year, particularly.
But when it felt that a draw was drop points, when you almost had to have a perfect season.
Yeah, no, obviously to win titles, it is about winning football matches, but I'm just on about if there's 5 or 10 minutes to go and you're up against teams like United today, especially their attacking players, Kelly, you smell it, you just feel it in the air going, I know everyone wants to, I was a midfielder and we'd have lads going forward, but I'd still be going, yeah, lads, Giggsy, Beck, you go for it, but don't worry, I'm sitting back here and I'm going to sit in front of my 2 centre-halves and we're still going to make sure we defend crosses or whatever, because unless you do that, unless you do them basics right, you're not going to win football matches. So I just felt today at Liverpool, there was a time for them to go, with 5 or 10 minutes to go, we talk about that throw-in, and even that was a symbol of like, what are you doing? Just throw it down the line and we get up the pitch. Maybe a bit of arrogance and you can be too confident. And United are looking, going, I tell you, what happens when you're thinking that? United will be sniffing it and going, I think there's a chance here that we can win this game. And United haven't won here for 10 years, so you're giving them belief. You have to take that belief away from them. And again, Go in that dressing room afterwards and be annoyed with a draw. Go in and go, lads, we need to do better. But it's a draw. It's something. Instead of going and going, hey, we can't be giving up goals like that. We said about their body language when it comes back in from Bruno. Players, 4 or 5 of them are kind of looking to run up the pitch if they're playing at home to a championship team. Southampton came out 2 or 3 weeks ago and they got a few chances. They had a little bit of joy. I know they won the game, but it's still Man United here. And they still have very good attacking players. And all of a sudden you go, it's going out to Bruno and you're running out. But Bruno puts it in, Maguire's on the back post, just like some of the Palace players were on the back post, just like Chelsea were on the back post when they're breaking, going, we'll sniff a chance here.
That's you know, what you just said there. You probably looked at it a few times, you know, the goal and the team defending the corner. But I go back to my worry about Liverpool at the start of the season. It's not so much all the attacking players, but if the mindset of everyone is always, we're going to be attacking, we've got this attacking play, we're going to be on the ball, people are always thinking about what happens when they're on the ball, and almost the defending bit becomes a bit like, oh, do I have to do that? Do I have to track him back? Do I have to go and win a big header? I want to get on the ball, I want to play, we've got midfield players who all want to get on the ball. So I actually think sometimes Liverpool, now there's almost that a mindset of not actually doing the dirty work. And you're talking about today, you know, getting that point, that was definitely more the case in the 2 away games at Chelsea, Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace battered Liverpool. They got a goal late on Liverpool. That's like, get out of there with your point. It's a tough place to go. Could have been 3-0 down at half-time. Great point. So away at Chelsea, got beat there last season. You got back to 1-1. You don't get beat. That's the thing that frustrates me in terms of the experience on the pitch and the players they have on the pitch. You've won, not just last season, but won numerous trophies over his last
Have they lost that pride in defending? We talk about teams that win titles. It's going, the foundations, obviously you need a top goalkeeper, be rock solid at the back. We look what Arsenal are doing now. But Liverpool looking as if going, do we need to do that bit? Because we've got so many options. We've got brilliant attacking players. They're always a goal threat again. They could have scored 4 or 5 today, but they're getting caught out a little bit, almost become a bit more humble. And don't forget what you got that bit of success. And that was being maybe rock solid at the back. You're going to give up 1 or 2 chances. But I think teams now are playing Liverpool, and now it's 4 games, and going, mate, I think we've got a chance.
Exactly the word that
the
Van
problem
Dijk
is, though, Kelly, when you actually look at the team they ended up with 3 defensive-minded players. Carragher, Konate and Virgil van Dijk. Everyone else on that pitch is always thinking, a little bit like what Gakpo's thinking, when that corner comes in, if we get the ball, we might score. When Roy mentions about, like, you know, when he was there and he'd be in a defensive midfield player, OK, you go, I'll sit here. That's not in Jones. He's not inclined to do that. Wirtz is not inclined to do that. You end up with everybody else, all the 4 players. Ekatike, obviously, Isak was off the pitch at the time. Frimpong's not that player. Everyone's trying to win the game. There was not one player that's really going, OK, if we lose it in that midfield, what happens next? And that's where they got...
Great example. If you look at Arsenal last night, Arsenal, for all how brilliant they are, and when you get to the top of the league and you're thinking your confidence is sky, you look at Arsenal, when they lose the ball, forget about what they're doing in possession. They've got really good players and they're brilliant at set pieces. It's what they're doing without the ball. They're hunting in packs. And they're like tactics are out the window. They're just going to close people down. They're not getting bogged down by anything else. So look at Arsenal's success at the moment. Still a lot to do for them. I know there's a long way to go. The bit of joy is coming from actually hunting the ball down, chasing it, pride, hunger. Have Liverpool lost that a little bit? I think they have.
They nearly had the chance to equalise. It fell to Cody Gakpo. We'll take a look at some of his other chances in a moment. But you want chances to come in the late stages of the game at 2-1 down. And you want them to fall to somebody maybe who's already scored in the game, who's shown that they're sharp in the game. And yet this happens.
Yeah, and listen, we're talking about games, but as we know, the small margins make a big difference. But he was Liverpool's best attacking player by a long way. Looked really dangerous, Liverpool did, especially in that first half, down that left side. And listen, Gakpo's been questioned quite a lot, you know, this season. You know, because he's one of those players who, he's never going to be a superstar, but you know what you're going to get from him. He's going to get you a goal.
Is it because people are missing Luis Diaz? Is that maybe why?
Yeah, but I think him and Luis Diaz sort of almost flipped between who was playing wide left last season. This is Isak. He has to score that. He has to. And listen, we can talk about the system, how Liverpool are mentally, tactics, but players miss chances like that. It's going to come back and haunt you. And Liverpool, as I said, more often than not, in a game in this situation, as the manager said, they end up in the back of the net, you win the game, and we're talking totally different, and that's the nature.
That's the madness of football, isn't it?
That's why even if he makes the substitutions, we all say, God, that was genius. He threw all those players forward. That's what Alex Ferguson used to do. He's gambled and he's won the game. The flip side is when it goes wrong, you lose. That's when you get question marks against maybe being too offensive.
And as I said, it's great gambling, of course, but you still got to make sure you don't give up on that.
And that's kind of the the question over this performance and looking, we looked at their match stats earlier, Jamie, and Liverpool way ahead in XG. I think I said earlier, Cody Gakpo's XG was higher than that of Manchester United, but they're quite blunt instruments in terms of looking at those moments where you're maybe an inch or two away from getting a goal, those small margins. It's more looking at the big picture for Liverpool, that we're trying to kind of widen it out and see where they can improve, because those moments will change over the course of a season.
Yeah, listen, in a few games' time, they'll start going in. But when you're sort of saying Liverpool's stats are a lot better than Manchester United, they always were going to be before the game. Liverpool are a much better team than Manchester United, so it shouldn't be a case of, oh, we were unlucky. You know, look how many chances we had, or our XG was more. We had more touches in the back. You'd expect that. Liverpool are a much better team, as I said, than Manchester United. So if Manchester United were going to come to Anfield and win, it was going to be a little bit like that, maybe getting a late goal, you know, getting a little bit of luck here and there. But Manchester United had chances in the first half, you know, to go ahead.
Let's go to Anfield, get some more reaction. Liverpool legend John Barnes been there for all day for us, pitch side. How do you reflect on that today, John?
What I said at the start of the game, that it depends on what Man United turned up, which Manchester United turned up. And I didn't mean which Manchester United in possession, because in possession with Mbeumo and Cunha, Fernandes, they've got lots of good players. It's which Manchester United when they haven't got the ball. And the Man United off the ball after going 1-0 up, having to defend deep, they put on a proper performance. It was the proper Manchester United that turned up. The first goal helped them, which meant they could defend deep and defend the lead. Obviously, when Liverpool equalised, we felt it was only going to go one way, but they showed the character and the determination. So I was always worried if Manchester United turned up and played properly when they haven't got the ball. The problem they'll have moving forward is obviously, do they do this in every game? When they play the so-called lesser teams, are they going to perform like this? Yes, Man City, they beat them in the cup final. The big games, they turn up. But the consistency is their attitude and their commitment and their determination without the ball that they show today, which will help them moving forward, if they do that.
What about Liverpool? Michael says he's not too worried because they're creating chances. There have been fine lines in each and every one of these defeats.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not worried at all. Because, of course, you look at the performances, and the performances warranted. Even today, they didn't warrant losing. They lost to Chelsea, who are a good team. So as long as they put in the performance, Liverpool are a bit different. Because regardless of who they play with the right commitment, determination, effort. So you'll win more games than you lose. So they lost today. Yes, they've lost against Chelsea and they've lost a few games. But if they continue to play this, they'll be fine. So, you know, and once again, we assume that because we then spent 200 million on Wirtz and Isak and Ekitike, things are just going to fall into place. They're young players trying to get the balance right between attack and defence. We're finding our feet. But I have no worries about Liverpool. I'm not saying they're going to go and win the league, but they'll play consistently well and they'll be right up there come the end of the season.
John, we spoke a little bit before the game about Mo Salah. Again, no goals today, a couple of missed chances. I mean, your opinion, and I think what we said before the game as well with Michael, it will come for Mo Salah. He's done it for many, many years. The longer this goes on, though, I mean, I can't think of lots and lots of games you went without scoring. The longer it goes on for him, does it matter to him? Do you think he'll be worried? Do you think the manager will be worried? Do you think he could actually move him out? Because there's so many different options now.
Well, I don't think he'll necessarily be worried, but I think that what has happened is that Liverpool are now a different team with different players playing in a different style. In the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years, the team has been designed and set up for Mo to score goals, be it Trent creating it, be it anybody creating for Mo, Bobby Firmino. Whereas now, once you have Isak and you have Wirtz and you have Ekitike, we're now doing different things. Everything is not just for Mo to score. So the fact that Mo won't be as impactful has nothing to do with him himself. It's to do with the nature of the team, meaning that we're going to share the creativity. Everything's not going to go through Mo. Wirtz himself, you know, in terms of him being the number one at Bayer Leverkusen, where everything went through him, he hasn't necessarily showed the same form here because everything is now not going to go through him. But the team's still good enough as a combination of different people being creative in different ways rather than one person to win football matches. So I have no fears about Mo, no.
And just finally, John, what about Liverpool at the other end? They're giving up chances again today. 2 clean sheets in 17 games. Is that understandable given the inconsistency, the way that the back four's been this season?
Well, I don't look at it from a back four perspective. I look at it from a whole team defensive perspective. Remember when we had, you know, Fabinho and Milner and Henderson defensive midfield players, the fullbacks could attack, everyone attacks. Now our midfield is very creative. So we're very creative in midfield. But out of possession, we have to look at transitions when we haven't got the ball, how teams are causing us problems, like when Semenyo scored against us when he ran from his own half. So one thing, thinking that the solution to the problem is just signing great attacking players that we have. But the balance as a team defensively, when we haven't got the ball, not today because Man United sat back, but we have to get that right in terms of defending better as a team rather than just looking at it as a back four problem.
Top stuff, John. Thanks for all your work today.
Thanks, guys.
John Barnes at Anfield giving his opinion. Here is the opinion of the Liverpool manager, Arne Slot. Yeah, well, 4 in a row in all competitions hasn't happened since 2014. Brendan Rodgers was the last Liverpool manager to endure a run like that. But in terms of the chances created, he's talking about that. I mean, 19 shots they had today. Liverpool, 6 of them on target. Do you feel on another day they could have easily scored 2 or 3?
Absolutely, yeah. I thought he summed it up really well, very honest. You know, of course it's a concern losing games. They can't afford to really lose many more. I think that's, 4 points behind Arsenal already. They've lost a game in the Champions League. It's not a disaster at the moment. It could turn into one if it continues. However, based on the facts and based on what we've seen and how well Liverpool are playing, I'm not saying they're absolutely at their top, you know, they're full throttle at the moment, but they are certainly playing well enough to win games. Certainly, if they just play that well as they played today, they'll win more often than they'll lose. Now, they need to probably play even better to become champions, but it's certainly not, you know, that team is not devoid of confidence. They're creating chances, conceding a couple of chances themselves, which is not ideal, but they've got so many great players in so many attacking areas. They can change their whole attack today and have a new burst of energy, a new sort of last 20 minutes or so. It's again, right, it's new players, it's new chances, and they get a goal and you think, wow, it's going to happen. They're going to get another one here. So there's lots to be positive about, but of course, you'd be stupid to say, yeah, no concerns at all, everything's rosy in the garden. They've lost 4 on the spin. It's not ideal, but there's plenty going on that I see that's positive.
Do you know, in the bigger picture, though, as well, for me, it's 4 points at the moment. If it's 4 points in February, they're right in the mix.
Yeah.
You know, March even, you know. If it's Arsenal at the top, they've never won it before. So you're almost banking on them it's going to be hard to get over the line. So actually, the bigger picture, 4 points is not the end of the world. It's what happens next.
Can I point out the bigger picture is 3 weeks ago, Liverpool were 5 points clear of Arsenal, and Arsenal fans are worried about Liverpool going outside.
And that's how it can flip so quickly. And we're in a marathon here, you know, and we've just kind of started, really. So I think there's that. The other kind of influence and effect it can have, though, if there's that bit of goals going in against you and there's the little chink in the armour, all of a sudden the games that are coming up go a bit of a different perspective in terms of the opposition. So Liverpool's players might be a little bit, instead of being here and playing Brentford next, isn't it? And they go in, Brentford might be thinking, if Liverpool are looking invincible, they're thinking, tough game this, you know, we can't score against them and they're dangerous. And all of a sudden, Liverpool's a little better. Brentford all of a thinking, oh, you know, Liverpool, we might get something today. And that's what they have to get, almost nip in the bud quick and get that invincibility and that aura back.
Fear factor,
because I think that, as much as the results, I think, going on the pitch against them, that's a massive factor. So the quicker they can get back onto that road again, it'll help them and make games easier before they even get on the pitch.
And getting their big players firing again. I mean, if you look at the record signing Isak and Mo Salah, who I know we talked about earlier in the day, hasn't scored from open play in the Premier League this season. Do you think sooner or later those two are going to click, and then that will be a huge difference to what we're talking about?
Well, it will, as soon, and they will click, won't they? I mean, if there's any 2 players in the Premier League that you know, you shouldn't have doubts about, it's these 2. Years and years and years. I mean, his cabinets are bursting with golden boots. So, like, who am I? Who's anybody to doubt him? Isak is one of the best players on this planet. Best strikers, certainly. I mean, he's been doing it in this league. So there's no question at all that these 2 are going to be banging in goals. No question. And the beauty of it for Liverpool is, do you know what? If they are struggling after an hour, then they can bring Ekitike on. They can bring Wirtz on. They can bring all these superstars on. And, you know, I thought Ekitike made a real difference when he came on. Gakpo's playing really well. He missed a few chances today, but he's the most improved player in a Liverpool shirt, him and Gravenberch, over the last year or 2. So there's lots going on. There's lots of different options if they should be struggling. Now, they are at the moment, but, you know, only a fool would write them off for the long term.
Defensively, though, I mentioned it to John, 2 clean sheets in 17. Arsenal kept 8 already this season.
That's the talking about that chink and that almost giving other teams a bit of hope, if you like. Probably going against Arsenal at the minute thinking this is going to be a real tough game, that they don't give much away and it's difficult to score and they're dangerous in different ways against Arsenal set plays and dangerous in free play, where Liverpool are just giving teams now, after that run, that little bit of hope, too much hope, really. So it's pretty obvious, you know, you need to score and you need to stop conceding goals, but the goals will come. So, you know, you're talking about the calibers of play that have been there and done it, especially Salah, and knows they'll turn up. But defensively, they do need to nip that, because it's very difficult to then rely on extra goals, 2-3 goals to win games. You can't do that every week.
And that is the makeup of both teams, though, as well, isn't it? I mean, Arsenal are extremely solid as a defensive unit. They don't create as much as Liverpool. They're not as good on the eye as Liverpool. When both teams are purring, when both teams are at full throttle, I mean, Liverpool can blow teams away 5 or 6-0. I don't really see that with Arsenal, but Arsenal just don't concede. So it is... I know what you're saying about how many Arsenal concede, but Liverpool create more chances. Liverpool are going to win more games 4-2 than Arsenal. Arsenal will win 1-0, as they're famous for doing, like they did at the weekend. I wouldn't be so concerned about comparing like for like. I think these two teams are very different. Liverpool really need to get their scoring boots on, because they almost need to outscore teams as opposed to nick games 1-0, whereas Arsenal, it's about, can they score the chance that they get, or the one chance that they, out of 3 or 4 that they get, because they're going to keep a clean sheet. So very different teams, but obviously Liverpool do need to stop the chances if they can.